Hello, it is Illura here from the Sacred Gates here on YouTube, and welcome back to the episodes that we haven't put out in a while. I must say it has been some time. We have been very busy doing healing work with many people within my own life and directly and around the world. So I'm very glad to be doing this episode today. I was actually just lying down taking a rest, and I suddenly thought, oh, it's actually the last day of the year and we still haven't done an episode in a couple of months. I'd really like, what would I like to share? And I just had a beautiful moment this morning with my partner, with my husband, I guess you could call. We're not actually married, but he is my husband. When you have a child, it's like you create a marriage, a contract, a binding contract. And we were sitting there, and I suddenly saw everything he'd been enduring for our family. And I allowed myself to look into his eyes and see all the pain. And in doing that, he looked into my eyes. And later in reflection, I realized, when I was younger, I remember hearing about eye gazing, but it always kind of felt, when I tried it with other partners or even my partner now, years ago, it always felt a bit contrived. But today I experienced eye gazing in the true sense of for me, of what it feels to be about and why. And perhaps I was taught it that way years ago or came across it in that same way, but I wasn't ready. You know how it is, you're kind of not ready, so you misinterpret what it means, or you don't really get to the heart of it, so you don't experience the heart of yourself. But the eye gazing I experienced today, which in many ways was spontaneous, I suppose, was just so deeply, overwhelmingly sacred as an experience. And it allowed me to heal so many wounds in such a short amount of time. Like, I feel like I'm not recovering from my healing, but that there have just been many, many, many things acknowledged through going there and seeing the pain in someone that you love, and the pain. And really what it is seeing that common struggle, that struggle in their eyes that we all have, because we are all, going through our own stuff. And I know at this time of year, at the end of the year, it can kind of be a time of, you have that rush if you're celebrating Christmas, which I'm happy to say I don't get involved in that. And unfortunately, the country I'm living in is now kind of going into that Christmassy mental crazy, unfortunately. But a lot of people go into that, and then you kind of head out towards the new year as you say goodbye to the kind of crazy family, busy. Even if you're not doing it, you can still feel a consciousness shift, and a lot of it's materialistic consciousness. And then you kind of drift towards the new year in that little space there, and a lot of people kind of either fall, you can fall into excitement or fall into regret, or feeling a bit of a heaviness of the year, or not having achieved your dreams, or like feeling inspired for the year ahead and with lots of goals and feeling like that. Or maybe you're feeling less, connected to it and more like, well, it's just the same as any day, and you feel maybe, or you could feel indifferent, whatever it might be, or neutral. But when I looked into my partner's eyes, we saw many, many things, and one of the things that he reflected back to me was the resignation that he could feel in me. And I thought, what do you mean? And he explained it, and of course when you have a family, you endure a lot. There's a lot of things that go on. It's not always easy. And you can sometimes feel, and not even if you have a family, you could just have a relationship, a marriage, a relationship with your spiritual path, a relationship with your budding business, a relationship with yourself, and when we feel resignation inside of ourselves, it is such a blow. It is such a hard feeling that sometimes we don't even really consciously see it as that, but we feel it as resignation, as wanting to resign from the task, wanting to resign from life, wanting to resign from the relationship, wanting to run away, resign, whatever wording you want to use. And it is a really hard thing to endure. And so I'm not trying to be negative or down, especially as the new year approaches, but I felt inspired as I lay there taking rest just now to just reach out to all of and anyone who is listening here on this channel, that if you've felt resignation, just say this year or this day, this month, this week, this life, that I have compassion for you. I have compassion, and I know how hard it is to carry that feeling of wanting to give up, and that feeling of doubt, and that feeling of being so far away from feeling like you can do it. And I just want to reach my heart and my spirit out to you to say that it's okay, and it's something so normal to feel, and it's not easy to be a human going through this life. Certainly not this year, and certainly not the last few years either. And I want you to know that this world operates in many ways in so many paradoxes, and so while you have doubt and a feeling of resignation, that within that is the faith to carry on and keep going with whatever it is that you feel resigned from or feel like resigning from, just because, and to know that within that feeling of wanting to resign and run away is your most cherishing attribute, your humanness, your sacred humanness, that struggle that you're going through. It's such a sacred place where that's coming from, and that your soul has been going through so many trials and tribulations for so long, and the soul gets weary and the soul gets heavy, and it just wants to rest. And I hope that you are able to rest your soul, and that you're finding ways to live life in a way that allows you to rest in ways that help you not to feel like resigning from the things that are important. And, you know, it is important, the things that you feel like resigning from, unless they're really bad for you, unless they're really something that is a good idea to resign from. But if it's just hard and it takes endurance, it could very well be because it's worth it. And it's just testing you and testing you. And it could just be your own life that feels like that on many levels, like multi-directional stress. So my hope for this year and for the next, few days, perhaps after listening to this recording, that you find ways, tap into that stream of having faith, in faith itself, because faith is an actual resonance, it's an actual being. It's connected to itself. It's very, very deep. It's very multi-layered being of light, of consciousness. It's very high level consciousness. And doubt can feel so dense and so heavy and so fraught that it can lead us to despair and helplessness, and yes, like resigning on however that might feel like you want to do that. It is such the opposing, and you could say, yes, complementary. This is the paradox of this universe. Everything is a paradox. Everything of worth, it lives in this relationship, principal relationship with the other. And so you have this heavy, dense doubt, yet many of us feel that more than we feel the faith that is within the doubt, and the doubt that is within the faith. And you don't need to have faith in a God, or, unless you do, but you can, if you're not a religious person, you can have faith in faith itself. Pure faith in faith itself. It's not connected to any contract. It's not connected to any transactional binding deal. It's got no guarantees. It is just pure faith. It's a beautiful shining light, a seed within you, just as there are seeds of doubt. And So I do hope that you find ways of looking after yourself better the next year, and finding new ways to take care of yourself, to notice yourself, and to give yourself what you need, and to find your rhythm this coming new year, to find a rhythm that suits you, to find things that you remember doing when you were younger that you would like to do again, to bring that joy into your life, and to also rest, to take time to rest when you need it, and to go forth into the light, either whatever it is that you're doing. So that is just what I wanted to share with you as this year comes to an end. And there has certainly been a lot of action on the planet, and we're seeing a lot of war around the world, but it's actually not just a human-driven war. We are experiencing a spiritual war in this universe, and there's a lot of energy moving, and so it is really important to take care of yourself, to listen to where you are in your cycle, where you are at in your patterning, in your rhythm. And tuning into your rhythm, I feel for next year, is a really, really wise ability to develop, and you have that. And it can be beautiful to sit in nature, observe the phases of the moon, observe the rise and fall of the sun, and notice the rhythm in all life around you, and allow that to help you tune in to your own rhythm and to notice yourself. And often when we get older, we disconnect from our inner child and we forget the things that bring us joy from a much more innocent time. And when we do those things, and I can share with you some of the things that I enjoy doing, but when you reconnect to those things, it actually helps feed your soul. It helps that tired soul gets that nourishment, and it feeds your soul, which it feeds your spirit and helps you to feel regenerated, like you can keep going. It takes care of that wounded spirit that can feel like resigning. And so for me, one of the things I love doing is, if I'm walking past, I actually love picking weeds. So near my son's school, it's a beautiful area with a canal running through the middle road of these tiny little roads. And, I often will stop the car before I pick him up, and I take out my pocket knife scissors and snip, snip, snip these beautiful, just random kind of weeds, really. And then I dry them and I bundle them. And for me, that is such a pleasure. Another thing I love doing is, making tea, herbal tea, choosing from my massive tea selection, like an apothecary. And I also love putting jars on labels and putting things in jars. It's just, so I love buying new fish and watching them, come and meet each other and talk to each other. I love watching my fish. And of course also using my Tibetan bowls and sitting in meditation and connecting and asking and listening to my higher self. These are all things that bring me great joy, and playing badminton with my son in the street as the sun sets. These simple things that bring joy, and that you'll have, of course, your own. Let yourself have some more. Let yourself have some more. And allow yourself to feel your rhythm and get into your rhythm, and allow your rhythm to protect you, the rhythm of how you need to do things for yourself, so that you can take better care of yourself, other people, and the world. So I hope you have a beautiful new year. Take care of yourselves, and bye-bye for now.